close the night out right. Panel at the table in that half-dead light. Miss Robin in the middle, calling every shot, directing and producing till the story runs hot. 1-1 from the city, badge heavy on his chest, towing that long like a wicked chain, spitting facts, no rest. Crimes after dark, we close the night out right. Tear through the lies till the wrong sounds like a fight. All of the answers buried so deep out of sight. We watch the threads unravel. We watch the threads ignite. JJ in the corner, state of the deep in his head. Which lies to toss and which ones to keep instead. Dago from the cafe says forget about it. Leans back, spins his thoughts like a blade cutting holes in the track. Lee at the front, head advocate, steady stare. Every word like a warning, every silence a dare. All of them leaning in, clock crawling, eyes bright. Every secret feels louder than the buzzing of the night. Crimes after dark, we close the night out right. Tear through the lies till the wrong sounds like a fight. All of the answers buried so deep out of sight. We watch the threads unravel. We watch the threads ignite. You can bury it in paper, you can lock it in a file, but the truth bleeds through, drip by drip, tile by tile. We're dragging it to daylight, name by name, line by line. If you wrote it in the shadows, we'll read it out this time. Yeah. Crimes after dark, we close the night out right. Tear through the lies till the wrong sounds like a fight. All of the answers buried so deep out of sight. We watch the threads unravel. We watch the threads ignite.
All right, everybody, welcome to a Crimes After Dark show on a Monday night edition. And we're going to start off a little bit different because I want to talk to you about something that caught my attention in the news yesterday. A couple of hookers. And by that, I'm not being super funny. Like literally their names are Hooker. Bryan and Lynette Hooker. I want to talk about that news story about a couple that goes out. Two people go out onto the ocean. Only one comes back. They suspect murder. I want to talk a little bit about that with the panel. We'll get into that. And then, of course, we're open season to talk about all of the cases that we normally follow the Idaho 4, Delphi. If you want to talk about Richard Allen's appeal, which is still possibly looming on the horizon for us. What's going to happen in Bryan Kohberger's situation? Is it over after the plea deal, or is there something more coming? I think there's something more coming. Hold on to your hats for that. Lots of stuff to talk about. So let's get the panel on right away and kick this sucker off. I'm going to bring everybody up on stage at the same time. How are you guys doing this evening?
My knees are still hurting from all that running we just did.
You know,
that thing is amazing.
It is amazing, but I feel cheated because I already have inferiority complex, and I think you're taller than me on that video, Dago. Are you taller than me in real life?
I can promise you. I can promise you in real life, I am absolutely not. That's a fact.
So what the hell? Why is everybody going to be bigger than me? Like, why do
I gotta try?
I'm grateful to Robin for making me taller, you know.
Yeah. I gotta try that spinning move, man.
I don't know. Ever since watching that, I want to be like JJ. When
I know.
I can't do it, damn it.
I
didn't know JJ was so damn strong. I've been trying to rip this book in half for two days now.
It's a CIA trick. You really have to be part of the CIA.
Gotta be. Yeah. That was amazing. That intro is awesome. Guys, if you watch.
Well, thank you.
I know everybody in here now is expecting to see the movie coming out now whenever it's going to happen.
Right.
That's what that looks like.
That's next.
Well, they'll have to stay tuned because there will be more coming. So they'll have to stay tuned to see what the what did we call it? You call us the Mod Squad.
The Mod Squad is what it reminds me of.
Now.
There's more coming, Robin.
We get up to next.
You're going to drive us into the poorhouse because all those AI tools require credits, which require money. But they're so cool, though. You have to do it. Like you have to. It's so.
I mean, JJ, you remember the Mod Squad, right?
Oh yeah.
Doesn't that remind you, like, give you that feeling with all of them going together, doing their thing? It's exactly what I thought right away. So
I told Robin it looked like a trailer, like the trailer for a movie or a TV show.
Absolutely.
That's the idea.
Yeah, you did great. It's a great job. I hope you guys, I hope some of you at least know about these hookers that I want to talk about today. You know what I'm talking about when I call them hookers. They're literally TikTokers called the sailing hookers. We'll talk about that in a minute, but I want to give one a shot at the monologue and get us kicked off on the right foot. All right, let's do it.
All right. Is it good to be alive in the den?
Yes, sir.
Monday night.
Always.
Yes.
Juliana, Jackson, and my beautiful wife. Love you guys. Always. Lower the volume, not because it's loud, but because this one doesn't need to be. Somewhere in the dark water off the Bahamas, there's a space where a person used to be. No wreckage, no final words, no witnesses, just absence. Her name was Lynette Hooker, 55 years old, steady, experienced, not someone who just slips away. And yet, that's the story. A boat, open water, sudden movement, and she's gone. The only person who saw it happen was her husband, Bryan Hooker. He says the ocean took her, that it happened fast, too fast to stop, too fast to save. A current, a shift, a vanishing. And if that's true, then this is a tragedy. Just another name lost to water, never coming home. But something doesn't sit right. Because while Lynette is still missing, while her body hasn't been found, Bryan isn't home. He's in custody, held, questioned, not charged, but not free. Authorities say there's probable cause, but they're not telling us why. And that silence, that's where the story starts to change. Because now, this isn't just about the ocean. It's about what happened before the water. A marriage described as strained, complicated, with pieces of the past that don't stay buried very well. And suddenly, the question isn't just what happened out there, it's what led up to it. Think about it. If someone you love goes overboard, do you hesitate? Do you lose them in open water and accept it? Or do you fight until there's nothing left of you to fight with? Because no one else saw it. No one else heard it. No one else can tell us what those last seconds looked like. Only him. And that's the part that keeps people awake. One story, one version, one moment that can't be verified. Tonight, on Devil's Advocates, we're not chasing noise. We're sitting in the quiet. The kind of quiet where details matter, where behavior matters, where gaps feel louder than facts. We're breaking down the timeline, the inconsistencies, the things that don't quite line up when you stop and really listen. Because sometimes the truth doesn't scream, it barely speaks at all. And sometimes the most dangerous place to disappear isn't the ocean, It's the moment no one else is there to see it happen. And with that, live from New York, it's Monday night.
All righty. Thank you very much for that intro and welcome everybody. So
did you realize you were rapping in there, right, buddy?
Was he doing a little, what is he?
He didn't catch it, but he was like something hooker where he took her. I was waiting for some other Dr. Seuss line to come out of it too. I'm like, all right, Dr. Seuss, you got it.
That's what we need to do. We need to turn the monologue into an Eminem rap style kind of thing. And
what it started to
there you go.
Like, I did not eat green eggs and ham, Sam. I am. I don't know where Hooker took her.
And I gotta put on my little thing.
Yeah. No, that was a great monologue, though. Yeah, I'm looking into that a little bit with the Bryan and Lynette thing. It's pretty wild. It is.
Yeah, I want to bring it up. Let me see if I can bring this up on stage. I want to talk about it a little bit. So this is the story we're talking about, and it caught my attention because I was looking at the headline. The first thing that kind of caught my attention was Bryan Hooker was a relatively attractive older gentleman, distinguished, right? And this couple. Then I realized they were like TikTokers, and I'm like, what the hell is this? And then it was like social media murder kind of thing. The story, it goes essentially that Lynette and her husband Bryan, here they are together, and there's look at that. See, he looks like a pretty decent looking guy, Anyways, they had a thing about doing sailing, and they would have sailing videos on TikTok. Anyways, they went out, and Bryan alleges that she was lost in a colossal amount of failures that all happened. They went out too late at night. He shouldn't have went out that late. They were going out towards sunset. They were on their little dinghy that was very small. Like here it is right here, and look, so they had a key to it, but a gust of wind came up. He said it popped her off. My
birthday too. April 4th.
Yeah, right. Happy birthday again, belated.
Yep.
So he claims, look, the sun was going down. We shouldn't have been out that late. I wasn't properly prepared. I hadn't anchored the dinghy. A gust of wind popped up, and it popped her right off the boat. And she went over with the key, and she had the only spare key on her as well. So both keys went over. So I couldn't start the engine, and I lost my oar. And so I threw a flotation. We didn't have any life vests with us. I threw a flotation cushion out there, but I couldn't see her in the darkness of the becoming dusk, and dark. I couldn't see her. I called her. I got nothing. So he frantically jumps off the dinghy and makes a swim and swims back to the docks, and she's just gone. She's gone. And later they found the flotation device, but not her. She's presumed dead, of course. But the tricky part comes in his own daughter coming forward and saying he murdered her. They used to get in fights. He was drunk. He said more than once that he was going to take her out there and throw her off the boat, kind of thing.
Yes.
Now he's actually done it. And he even was on a video on a audio call with a friend. At one point, this news article says at one point he was laughing. At some point, he laughs about the event. About how it was just fucking a tragic, colossal thing of mistakes that happened, and that he's beside himself. But I thought it was worth talking about. What are your odds that this guy didn't kill his wife? That it really was just a colossal, understandable mistake of going out too late and didn't think it through. Maybe they were intoxicated, or is this flat out murder? And it's a pretty simple case that you think it's going to turn out to be.
I'd like to know if there was an insurance policy on her.
That's a good point. Yeah.
It's very interesting that you said that, because I know you're a super busy individual, Lee. So I know you. I don't think you got to watch our whole show yesterday, or
no, I did not. No.
But one of the things that we covered from yesterday, which is relevant to tonight, we had a whole section on staging.
Yes,
we had a whole section on staging. And does what happened, do the facts that we have, do they show evidence of staging?
Yeah.
So, and they do, because
Mm-hmm.
who is the last person that spoke to it? Like, it's all the like he's the last one. It was now, do accidents happen? Yes, accidents can happen, and out on the water, the unknown, or many things can happen. But a lot of the facts do seem to show to me, do bring up the area of staging.
It's a great point, because I mean, you're talking about, like, were you guys talking about that in the John Benet Ramsey case, that there was
right.
an indication that there was staging in that crime as well?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
We don't talk about it a lot. But I have questioned whether Idaho 4 had staging involved too. That people wanted people to believe that it was a random killing, when maybe it wasn't a random killing. It was staged to look like a random killing.
Right.
And in this case, like possible. You said, did Bryan Hooker create that scenario? Like, did he purposely create all the scenario that would be believable to somebody? Hey, it was late at night. Maybe we were a little intoxicated. Maybe, a gust of wind. Like, and how far did it go? Did he plan to look to see the weather report that it would be a slightly windy night, that did he really premeditate this whole thing? Or did they just go out on a romantic dinghy ride that maybe something happened and it got out of hand, a fight that's the $1 million question. How premeditated was it? Or can it really just be an accident? Did they just really go out and tragic shit happened? Or is it something in between? So you got the three options. It was totally an accident and it just looks really bad on this guy. It was a spur of the moment fight and he pushed her over, and then he just thought, oh fuck, I got to come up with a story. And so he made the story. Or was it premeditated and he planned the time that they went out so that it would be at dark and it would be believable, and he planned every bit of that, even going out maybe when there would be a gust of wind or a gusty night, so he could explain the story? And how far did it go? What would your money be on? Would you be on the it was an accident that kind of got out of control and you just went, oh shit, after it happened? Or do you think it's premeditated, or do you think it's
no? Because of you have to look, and this goes along. I say many times is, I don't have a degree in psychology, I did take some psychology classes in college, but I don't think I took as many as like JJ or maybe you, Lee. But I talk about this all the time. Besides the fact of like staging or people, trying to hide things because of money and other issues, everything is, how police, how detectives, how most cases, besides obviously from a valid witness or video, or video camera or picture and stuff like that can be authenticated, you get a lot of stuff is always about patterns of behavior. So just to correlate, and not to go into a whole crazy side thing, but this I've mentioned many times about Kohberger, whether we don't, they just didn't give us the info. To me, it's not, as like JJ always says, you always have to look at the big picture. And I agree. Who is to benefit from someone dying or covering up, or what is the bigger thing? Or is this about some kind of policy that people want to put in play, or things to that nature? The other thing is to look at as well the pattern of someone's behavior. Is not always just to look at the individual event of that event. You have to look at the pattern of behavior. So what you can't just say, oh, that's normal behavior. No, that means horseshit. You have to have a line. You have to have a line to measure what is normal behavior for that individual. That is what is important. So if it's normal behavior for Kohberger to turn that his phone goes off every other day at 2 a.m. Well, then it's not. Then there's nothing. It doesn't matter that his phone went off at 2 whatever at on November 13th, because it's something that normally happens. So pattern of behavior is huge into solving crime. And I think looking at the pattern, this guy has a history of domestic violence. And I would say, I read the article. has the domestic violence, has it escalated? Like has there been a pattern? Has it been escalating? So I know that there's the threat there that he was going to throw her overboard. Has it gotten more physical over a period? So these are all important things that could figure out.
Well, and it's funny, you asked earlier, and I did some Google foo on the fly. Did he have a life insurance policy? Yes, he had a $250,000 life insurance policy on his wife that was updated 6 months before their trip to the Bahamas.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think?
I think definitely meditation. Yep.
Did you say you did Google foo?
I did Google foo. Yeah.
Come on, man. You guys know this was an extraction operation.
right. No woman actually died on the ocean. It was completely an extraction, witness extraction operation. We're going to find out.
Going to show up alive in about 2 months.
Were you there to pull him out? Were you there to pull her out?
She's already in the Bahamas. She's already got her second ID on the identity in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
I've got the satellite video.
I got it as much.
Of course.
I mean, we don't look. I hope people don't think we're making light of the situation. I mean, literally, this is probably a murder, and so us laughing and giggling like it's funny. It's not a funny situation. We just happen to have a little bit of an irreverent sense of humor on this show, and so don't take that the wrong way. It's just. It is a serious situation. The question becomes, though, in a show like myself, that playing devil's advocates, the question, it seems like everybody already believes, like everybody looks at the story and go, yeah, that's murder. And it does look that way. Is there any scenario in which you could say maybe it didn't happen that way? Could it have been an accident? Could it have been a tragedy? Could it have been, I mean, it looks really bad, but is there any part of you that says it could have been an accident?
It could have been.
I don't know, because they were experienced sailors.
Yeah.
And he should have known better than to go out in that kind of weather.
Yeah.
In a little dinghy like that. And for her to keep I think the key was like around on a little lanyard around her neck, or why would you take the key out of the boat?
Every mistake that he made is a mistake that someone that is like Robin said, someone that's seasoned would never make. Okay.
Right.
Period. So it's I will say this much. It's very fishy.
Yeah.
I mean, what I could say.
I see what you did there.
Look, Alicia's comment, look, this is the type of thing where
right.
Like,
Alicia.
I mean, people.
No, it's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know for sure yet. It certainly is fishy, and it certainly would be a way to manufacture a scenario where you might have some excuse. But in this particular case, though, it's like that's for two regular people. I don't know about this case, so I don't know what these people, what their background is. For two people to pull something like that off, they would be, in my opinion, regular people. They'd be under too much scrutiny.
Yeah.
To pull that off, but
she was an experienced swimmer. Lynette was an experienced swimmer. So,
but that's the
thing.
Like,
an experienced.
But still,
I was an ocean rescue lifeguard, right, for 4 summers.
Yeah, but you could still
right. Somebody could be a really good swimmer, but if they're intoxicated, if they're disoriented, what happens? What causes most people to drown is panic.
Right.
Yep. Bingo.
The vast majority of drownings are a result of people panicking.
I was gonna say,
and they get exhausted, and then they drown. But
even water rescues we've done, like we've had bringing people out of the situation where they're almost taking out the rescuer because they're in such a panic mode.
Right.
They're pushing down on the rescuer, trying to get the hell out of climb over top of them to get out of the situation, and it harms the rescuer. So it does happen when people go into panic mode. They can't think of anything other than getting out of that situation. So
when you're in that situation, and I've been in that situation, it sounds counterintuitive for most people, probably not to Dago, but if people are attacked, because what happens if someone's panicking, you go out to rescue them, they jump on you.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
they're panicking.
Yeah.
You're supposed to dunk
Right.
them under the water.
Right.
Because it makes them like, oh, they
It brings them
snap
out
of
of
it.
their panic. Yeah.
But you're not supposed to get close to them initially. But in the case of this woman, I mean, I'm not buying it that it's not something that was planned. It just,
It sounds like it to me too.
yeah, it seems like it.
I want to address, Robin, did you want to go real quick before I was going to address something they said?
I was just going to say it does say that they were very drunk when they went out. Now, why would you do that?
So here's my question. Somebody said, okay, look, she's an experienced swimmer. So I asked the question, Google Foo. I asked the question, should she have been able to see the shore from where they were and could have swam to the shore? Because here's the thing. That's exactly what he did. He said when he realized he couldn't find her and she wasn't calling back, he dove in and swam to the shore. So he could see the shore and know what direction to go to the shore. Could she not see it? Now, is it a difference between, there's a big difference of vantage point when you're standing inside a boat and have that extra elevation and she's down in the water where her head's just barely over. But it does sound like from the answer I got that it would be difficult for her to have seen the shore from where they were at. So
At nighttime with waves and depending on the intoxication level, if she was more intoxicated than him, especially, it would be harder for her to function than him. So
yeah.
Those are all key points in that, because at nighttime in the water, your perspective is way off. I'll tell you right now. I don't care who you are. I don't care how seasoned you are, how good of a swimmer you are, how good of a sailor you are. At nighttime in the water, everything changes completely. I'm telling you and that's coming from a rescue standpoint. Even as a rescuer, it changes for us as well. It's very hard to deal with that stuff, because of the movements and, unless you're looking at the moon and the directional and stuff like that. But when you're intoxicated, you don't think about that. In that situation, you want to get out of it, period. So
according to they were on a yacht. By the way, their yacht was called the Soulmate. According to Bryan Hooker, their yacht was about 1,000 yards away, or about a half a mile away. So, because that was my other question. Well, if they were just off their yacht, could she have not swam to the yacht? Could you not see your yacht from where you're at? So, but anyways, for whatever reason, they were a half mile away from their yacht when she went over, allegedly, and he could make it to the shore, but she couldn't. So I don't know.
So it sounds like it,
and don't forget too. I was just gonna say, kind of what Dago is getting at with the water, with the darkness, also the current.
Yeah. What body of water were they in?
They were in a place called Hopetown. They were near Hopetown, Paco Inn area. They had a 2.5 to 4 mile open water to where they're at. They're in the Bahamas. I'm trying to figure out where they were. Marsh Harbor. So it's okay. Here's what it says. 4 miles westward towards Marsh Harbor, where the dinghy beached around 4 a.m. So I don't know the area. Elbow Cay. They were heading back to anchored yacht near Elbow Cay in the Abaco Islands of the Bahamas. So that's where they were after leaving Hopetown. So they left Hopetown at 7:30. Look, so here's the weird part. They left Hopetown at 7:30. This was the whole, you're leaving at sundown. And he's like, hey, we got caught in sundown. Did you get caught in sundown, or did you leave at sundown? 7:30 any time of the year is pretty late so they left Hopetown in the Bahamas around 7:30 p.m.
They're in the ocean. Okay,
they're in the ocean.
That's the ocean. This is not a lake, a pond. It's the ocean, which is the ocean holds no prisoners, as far as I'm concerned. I've been out there on boats in the ocean, and it's not a joke. So anybody that can survive that, God bless. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, look, these types of things are common. Did you guys say there was a history of domestic violence?
Yes.
His daughter said that there was a history of domestic violence between the two of them, and she thought that he probably killed him.
Well, to one's point, you look at past behaviors, you look at patterns of behavior.
Bingo.
If the guy had a pattern of being aggressive towards her, and making threats. It seems asinine that someone would be that dumb to do that.
Right.
You know, but it happens all the time. People,
Yeah.
whatever they're thinking. Was he having an affair? Has there been any talk about that?
That's an interesting question.
That's a good question. Let me see if I can Google foo that for you.
Because that kind of thing is what you hear about frequently, and then that's the motivation that might make somebody be careless because they just want to be gone from this person.
Yeah.
And they don't really think it through and whatever, but this is not a new thing that's never happened before.
I didn't. There doesn't seem to be any like instant rumors about him having an affair. But I do want to go back to something somebody said earlier. Is it ever a possibility that a husband and a wife conspire to fake the death of one of them and collect on the insurance and then spend money together? Right. So
I mean, it would be hard for her to hide it at some point. You know, when she shows back up, eventually they're going to have to explain it. But this is the area here. Okay. And okay, I will say this much: intoxicated at nighttime in the North Atlantic Ocean, this is a mess, guys. To be out there by yourself, like you would get completely turned around, inside out. One makes points about the current and the all of the waves. Come on, like, and who knows? Like, she could have got grabbed by a shark for all we know, and taken even further away from the situation. So that would be very hard to manipulate, in my opinion. Like, if you fell over, first off, the dinghy thing blows my mind. That's a really bad decision. To get in a dinghy out in this at night, I don't know what the weather was like that night, but that's a lot of stupid mistakes right there, guys. That's all I'm saying.
Somebody in the chat had mentioned, it might have been Chihuahua. Like, what if he drugged her first?
Wow, that's a good point.
Because then she would have been more incapacitated, and even if she was a strong swimmer, she could have been incapacitated by being drugged.
Now listen to this. Chihuahua, I think, was also the one to point this out. Listen to this. Lynette had been arrested for domestic violence against her husband in February of 2015. The police responded to the couple's home in 2015 after an argument escalated and both were reportedly intoxicated. Bryan Hooker had visible injuries, swollen and bloody nose. He told officers that Lynette had struck him in the face 4 or 5 times. Lynette Hooker alleged that Bryan had hit her in the forehead, choked her, and punched her. Officers noted no visible injuries on her. She was arrested and charged for assault and battery. So she physically assaulted him and had charges against her for domestic abuse. So again, could two intoxicated people who had a violent history got out of hand and she went over in the scuffle and it wasn't intended murder? It doesn't. And does that make it any better, though? Does that make it any better if the two went at it and she went over and he went, fuck, I just lost her, like.
So I have some other info here.
Good point, Rhonda.
Her past. So we mentioned before. So Lynette's daughter, Carly Aylesworth, however you say it, she publicly alleged earlier abuse and said she doubted Bryan's story. She previously had threatened to throw Lynette overboard. There's a 2015 police report involving mutual accusations of assault with differing accounts from Lynette and Bryan. What's interesting with this, a spouse saying it was a tragic accident lands very differently when there are allegations of earlier violence, threats, or fear. That does not prove homicide, obviously. Courts generally do not allow prior bad acts to substitute for proof of the charged conduct. But investigative logic, prior conflict is highly relevant because it can speak to motive, pattern, and credibility. If Lynette had previously expressed fear of being on a boat with Bryan, that fact becomes especially important given the exact scenario in which she disappeared. Reports published today say Lynette sent texts to a friend in 2024 saying she was scared to be out there with him and did not want to go back. Those reports are recent and should be treated with some caution until original records are fully public, but they are part of why suspicion is intensifying.
I didn't want to spend. Go ahead, Dago.
No. I was just gonna say it was fully. I think Mama Five said it too. It's a toxic relationship, like period.
Yeah.
So you can't extract that that fact from this entire thing.
Right.
If it's a toxic
Right.
relationship, like you said, patterns. You
Right.
got to look at that and go with that first, in my opinion. Sorry, Lee. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to I would play for you a clip of the daughter herself. Saying what she said. I think this is it. So let's see if you got sound on this.
The key. Brian's always driving, so he basically is in charge of the key. So the fact that my mom had it doesn't make any sense.
A source close to the family claimed to the Daily Mail that Bryan didn't inform Ellsworth about her mother's disappearance until around 24 hours after the tragedy. The boding Bo also left a voicemail for Ellsworth to let her know searchers had found the flotation device he allegedly threw to Lynette when she was in the water. In an interview with Fox and Friends, Ellsworth said she believes her stepfather, whom she has known her entire life, is working through unprocessed anger.
I believe he has a bunch of anger he hasn't processed. I've seen him choke out one of his daughters before, and we had to go to court for that. And I was only in 3rd grade. So he's just repeating patterns.
In a small
Patterns.
deed.
Well, there
Patterns.
you go.
Patterns.
Patterns, right?
Yeah.
Patterns. Yeah,
I
and
said
and
it.
so
She got it,
his
1-1.
own his own daughter is thinking that there's no way he would always have the key. The story doesn't make sense, and he specifically said he was going to do that. He was going to take her out and drop her overboard, kind of thing.
I think that's what I think happened. I think they were out there, maybe being drunk, got into a little bit of a confrontation and pushed her out of the boat and took off. That's my opinion. I mean, I could see it happening,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Robin disappeared for a while, but Robin's back. So let's transition this a little bit as with for the rest of the evening, if you will, from this story. And I appreciate you guys entertaining a different story just to kind of talk about and get the panel started. Let's talk about staging in the cases that we follow. Do you feel like? So let me ask you this. Early on, I believe Moscow Police Department in the Idaho 4 case, for example, were convinced that Kaylee was the target because her wounds were more significant than other people. Later, that story started to shift, and Dateline NBC started to say that Maddie was the target, and he must have met Maddie. And I kept getting irritated. Like, why the fuck all of a sudden is Maddie the target when there's never been any talk about Maddie being the target? And they said early on in that investigation that it was a targeted event and that nobody had anything to worry about because there was and they thought that target was Kaylee, in my opinion. Now, the question I have to ask yourself in a think tank kind of question is, if let's say one of those theories that has been out there for forever, that Xana and Maddie may have been a drug retaliation for parents turning in somebody in the drug industry, right? And so what if somebody decided to kill them for that, but wanted to throw the scent off, and they know Kaylee's got an ex-boyfriend living right next door? Could somebody realistically and believably do overkill on somebody who wasn't the intended target just to try and then pose bodies to make it look like it was something that it wasn't? Would they go to that level to throw off the trail for what it really was? Or is that impossible to really imagine that being realistic?
I think stuff like that happens all the time.
Sure.
I would say, oh, sorry, 1-1.
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
I would say, in my opinion, with this case, that I don't think that's the case, because I either think that it was a deliberate situation, it was planned, or something we've talked about in the past. Something went down and it got out of hand, and whoever the people that were responsible just had to, in the chaos that ensued, had to take out other people that maybe saw them or came upon them while committing the act. And so there was collateral damage. But I don't think somebody that may have been, if for example, if it was a crime of passion type of thing where shit got out of control, something maybe related to drugs or whatever, I don't think somebody would have been thinking like, oh, I'm gonna do overkill on one, to make them think it was another target. I think that if anything, the whole "what did you tell Adam" thing is something that was never investigated.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, what are the chances they're walking home from the bar and Maddie, what did you say to Adam? I told Adam everything. And then a couple of hours later, they're killed. It's like, that doesn't seem like it was even investigated at all. So
right, and so you might argue, most people don't think, but you might argue that whatever Maddie told might have got her killed. Like they might have come from Maddie because Maddie told somebody everything, and maybe Maddie got killed, or did somebody else get killed because she told somebody a secret? I had a pinned comment up, and now I've lost it because we got mods that are pinning stuff, and sometimes we compete each other. There was a comment though about 3 of the 4 victims were covered. Ethan was covered under a blanket. Maddie and Kaylee were covered under a blanket. Only Xana was out on the floor. Right. Is it possible, going to staying with the staged crime scene scenario, I get a little bit more, did somebody come in and kill 3 of the 4 people, cover them with because that says something potentially about the psychology of the killer when he covers them up. He or she's committed murder and covered them up with blankets. Then did Xana come in and scream when she saw what was done? And they freaked out and they quickly killed her and then ran, leaving her on the floor because she wasn't the intended victim. Is that a possible scenario? That somebody came in, did the killings, covered the bodies, and Xana interrupted them, and they just freaked out and quickly killed her and fled. And that's the reason why she's not covered like everybody else.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah,
I truly and honestly, I think that's very plausible.
Or they were gonna cover Xana, and they heard the other roommates downstairs, and they just had to get out of there quickly because they thought maybe 911 was called.
And that, that whole covering thing. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Who was
I was gonna say that the whole thing, I know it's aggravating to everyone. It's one of the things that I say like looking forward to, but I was hoping that we would actually get the info of the full like contamination, and we would be able to actually figure out who died. And maybe we don't know if it was 2:30 or 3 o'clock or 3:30, but we would know at least the order of when people were killed. But now the info that we have, there's no cross contamination of Kaylee and Maddie with Xana and Ethan. How is that possible in the time period that they have? So it's like,
that's why
they force fed this thing into mainstream media. Oh, it's Kohberger. It's the lone assassin, the lone gunman, right? It doesn't even. It makes zero sense. It doesn't even. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
Really quick. No. Oh, sorry. I just want to address this pinned comment. I'm sorry, Dave. I just want to address it. I just want to real quick address why would somebody cover up a victim? From what I understand, and I don't study criminology all the time, right? But some people, when they commit a murder, sometimes there's a shame involved in what they've done. And they cover the person because they don't like to see what they've done to the person. So they kill them in a rage, and then they cover it because of shame. That's one reason why a person body might be, and that's why I say it tells you something when a person's covered up. It might tell you a motive for the killer's thought process.
And that was one thing I was going to speak on too. One of the 2 things. And when we found that out, my wife went to school for psychology. She's got 2 degrees in it. And we talked about this when that came out. And I asked her, I said, in your opinion, with what you've researched and what you went through with your schooling and blah, 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 because they do a lot of criminal background stuff when they do that and so on and so forth with some of the classes she took. She said that to me doesn't mean for sure, but could mean that the closeness of somebody to them doing that because of what they just did, and then they have automatic remorse because it was actually at some point one of their friends. So they have memories of them, good things with them, and then they did this. And so that's one way she looked at it with what she knew. And I explained her her background, only so that you guys would understand the way she was looking at
And
it.
Yeah.
that's just one. So you're right. Like
Right.
sometimes it's a shame thing. Like I don't
Oh,
want to
yeah,
look at what I just did, so I cover them up because now I'm feeling remorse. Another thing can be covering them up so that when somebody sees them on first blush, they just think they're sleeping and they don't immediately
Right.
react to it. So you can
Yep.
be covering them up
Yeah.
to buy yourself time, right? So you could be covering up for that reason as well. So
And
Yeah,
again,
and when
I wanted to say with Kaylee, so did we still don't know, you know, I know everyone keeps saying like, oh, Kaylee was going to be sleeping with Maddie or whatever, but when you see Kaylee's bed, I mean, it looks like her bed isn't like made. It looks like someone
turned down.
well,
yeah.
that I said that same thing, and then I remembered when they brought up the fact that it was even in the, I think it was Dylan's interview, it might have been Bethany's, that they were all sitting on her bed at 2 a.m. when they were up in her bedroom. So I kind of
Okay.
attributed the possibility that they messed it up sitting on her bed while she was
Yeah.
getting ready for bed. That's just a thought. It doesn't mean it's true.
Possible.
It's just a thing.
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah.
But one of the things I was going to bring up is when Lana was with us Saturday night, she brought up her feelings on this, and she thinks, and this is just her opinion, you guys, it doesn't mean that it's in stone.
Mhm.
She thinks there's 2 crime scenes. Okay, upstairs, 3rd floor, 2nd floor is number 2. 2 crime scenes, 2 separate crime times, so on and so forth. And she says that, and I have to agree she's right about that, in my opinion. And we've always questioned this because there's no transfer from victim to victim.
I did a video, Dago. I did a video a long time ago that said transfer DNA will tell you
Right.
everything.
Yeah.
Yes,
Because
yes.
if you start, if it's one set of killers, whatever room they started in, they have to track blood into the other room. So if you see, you know, and so therefore, if you don't see Maddie and Kaylee's blood in Ethan and Xana's room, or vice versa, that is leads to the idea that there was 2 killers, or
Bingo.
2 that killings were happening on 2 floors simultaneously, and that's what Dr. Turvey had said to Ann Taylor when his initial findings.
Yeah.
Was he like, I think this was done by multiple perpetrators and possibly at the same time, that both floors were being attacked at the same time.
Bingo.
So,
And
that
yeah,
was
she
early.
even-
yeah.
I think I remember you doing that too. She went on even to say that she thinks, this is just, again, her own personal opinion, that the first set of murders happened and that the killer, they cleaned up and then even changed their clothes already, possibly, or covered their clothes. And then the second situation may have happened at that point after there, you know, that in the midst of the cleanup and so on.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting theory.
It's a
And
good
then-
point, Dago.
Yeah, right.
It's really
and
good.
then one of the biggest things that she sparked my interest with, though, was as she said this, she thinks law enforcement had a huge involvement in this when it came to the cleanup and stuff. And I stopped and thought, and I was like, you know what? That makes so much sense to me, because we were all asking the same damn questions. Where's all these footprints from Xana's bedroom out of the room, into the room, wherever? Here's this, and that. If you think about that, somebody cleaning this up that knows what they're looking for, that knows what needs to be cleaned up, would be perfect in that period of time that they have to do it. We need to clean this. We need to clean that. That can't be here. That can't be there. This has to be, you know what I'm saying? And at that point, and she said it too, she said law enforcement, period. And I was like, wow, okay. So it's something that has been really pulling on, you know, my thread, my head thread. So
I want to address some of these comments. Put that last comment back up on screen, somebody, if you could. The one that about the there you go. Right Turn Clyde says, in my opinion, Kaylee's bed was turned down because earlier that night everyone took a nap. This is important because one of the things that I said was the fact that Kaylee's bed was turned down and so much of Kaylee's things were in her room, and Murphy was found in her room, and the phone charger was found in her room, led me to believe that Kaylee Gonzalez was staying in her room. In fact, I think there's a lot of photographs of Kaylee's room, which makes me think that they thought the killer could have entered through Kaylee's balcony area. They took a lot of photos of Kaylee's room. Or it could have been secreted into her closet waiting for Kaylee to come home that night. And so I had said, I'm not sure Kaylee was sleeping with Maddie. I think she could have, she was staying in her own room that night. How she ended up in Maddie's bed is the $1 million question.
Right.
But
I agree.
But to finish this thought, it is true. it's on record that the girls took a nap that day. So did Kaylee take a nap in her own bed, and that's the only reason Kaylee's bed's turned down? So maybe she did end up sleeping with.
Could be.
I don't know, but I tend to think that
So-
Kaylee was going to sleep in her own bed. But
I also
I was just gonna say one of the things that I know it kind of goes along a bit with what Tommy Jude had said. I don't know, agree maybe with everything he said, but one of his narratives that he was following was that he said he had an FBI source.
Yeah, source.
He claims he said that this started outside, and it's almost like kind of going along with what you're saying and what Lana was saying. Was something with Ethan? Something happened with Ethan and Xana. Maybe it started outside, and then you got Kaylee and Maddie come back from the food truck, and they see something that they're not supposed to see, or they came across something that they weren't supposed to.
Yeah,
that it's very possible.
And 100%. And to go along with what you were saying, Lee, about somebody either hiding somewhere upstairs, I thought that too, because basically of what Dylan had said, and I always have had in my back of my mind, it was somebody hiding on that upstairs balcony, and which would be very easy to do at nighttime. You could sit up there and wait until you see or hear somebody come in, and boom, you know what I mean? So
there was
I don't know if you ladder, right?
Yeah, the ladder. Yeah, which
ladder.
Everybody talks about. People get mad when we don't talk about the ladder. I don't talk about it for a reason, but
I know
we don't talk about the ladder. But there was early documentaries that suggested that Bryan Kohberger had actually been waiting in Kaylee's closet, that he was already in the house. Do you remember those? Do you remember
I do.
The discussions where they said
that
Kohberger was already in the house waiting for them to arrive, kind of thing. Like, I don't know where they got that from, but I'll tell you where I think they got it from. I think they got it from inside questions and think tanks that were saying, was the killer already in her room waiting for her in her bedroom? And then they just transferred that. Well, if it was, and we know BK's the killer, BK must have been waiting in her closet. But was it, or did they know?
Or whoever it was? Yeah,
right.
Yeah. I mean, it could be the closet. It could have been under her bed. It could have been on the balcony. It could have been many things. Hiding behind the curtain in her bedroom that leads to the balcony. It could have been multiple different things. And that's why when I first heard Dylan say, "Oh, I heard Kaylee go upstairs and scream, somebody's here," and run down the stairs, it kind of threw that light bulb back on. Like, wait a minute, is that how this went down? Was somebody in the house from being there previous? And that's why one of my theories was since we don't have a true timeline for Ethan and Xana, were they home earlier?
Right.
In their bedroom, because he was not dressed, she was in her underwear. Maybe they were having some kind of private personal time or something. The door was shut. Nobody realized they were there. Everything else goes on in the house. They had already been attacked possibly, and so on and so forth is what my curiosity led to.
You bring up a great point. If Kaylee, so here's the thing: if Dylan is right that she heard Kaylee yell, "Somebody's here," did Kaylee go up into her own room and see somebody in her room and scream, "Somebody's here," and run back down the stairs?
That's my point.
Did Kaylee go into Maddie's room and see that somebody was already in Maddie's room and say, "Somebody's here," and ran back down the stairs? Whatever the case, if Kaylee went up the stairs and then saw a person up in one of the bedrooms, her own or Maddie's, that's again part of the story. Like, then what happened, right? Did the killer chase Kaylee back down the stairs, kill her or stab her, punch her, whatever, and then drag her back up to the bedroom? Like, the story doesn't make sense. We've said that.
Yeah, I personally think Kaylee may have gone up to go to bed, got to the top of those stairs, went to turn, and noticed there's somebody in Maddie's room with her, and flipped out. That person sees her in the mid situation, okay? And down she goes, and they come out of the room after her, and everything is history from that point forward. Everybody knows that I don't believe that a K-bar was the only weapon used. And as you're chasing somebody down the stairs through that living room area, swinging, in my opinion, a machete, would cause many of the spatter marks that we see, the blood of Kaylee being down on the second floor, here, there, all over the place, so on and so forth. It would make a lot of sense to me, is just what I'm saying. So yeah, I fully feel like that's a very plausible situation.
And the biggest problem you have with the story that one killer did it is the lack of blood on the stairs and on the floor between the two rooms? Why would you not be dripping with blood and tracking blood all over? Why is there a relative lack of blood in the common areas between the staircase going up and between the bedrooms? There is blood, to be fair. There is in some weird places, some weird stuff like Kaylee's blood on the second floor. What the fuck is Kaylee's blood doing in the second floor? Right.
But the transfer, what you talk about is so huge though, you know, with that time period. You don't have Ethan and Santa's blood with Kaylee and Maddie, and you don't have Kaylee and Maddie's blood downstairs with them.
Right.
So,
and I'm going to say, in my opinion, if they went to the third floor, like everybody claims, this person came in, went to the third floor immediately, killed those two, and came back down to the second floor, interacted with Ethan and Xana, there should be Maddie and Kaylee's blood all over the inside of Xana's bedroom, all over Xana and Ethan as well, because of that weapon being covered in that blood. There's not a drop, folks. Not one drop. So explain to me how that happened with one person.
Right.
It didn't. It couldn't have.
Right.
One of the things I was going to say is I don't think we can really take anything Dylan has said as being accurate.
I agree with that too.
So her whole thing about Kaylee ran
that's not
down
true.
the
That's not true. JJ, you could take what Dylan says to be true, because when she answers the question, she gives all 10 answers.
So one of them might be actually.
I mean, it's like, you know, like so much of the story that we've been fed was born out of Dylan's testimony in the beginning, and then it's been stretched. They stretched it as far as they could stretch it and tacked on other things to it. But again, the reason why I always go back to that there was more to the whole story, bigger picture, is because why wouldn't they be pressed on their story? That made no sense. Right.
Agreed. Yeah. And why didn't they take
you're scared, but nothing ever happens in Moscow, but you heard someone scream, there's someone here. The story literally makes no logical sense. So here's the main point that I was getting at. The fact that they were not pushed more shows there was not a good faith effort, and that something else bigger was going on. That's how I've always felt about it, and what led me to.
There was a comment here from Sean Marie I thought was interesting. All three doors, could that have been a case that they wanted to block?
Yeah, it could have blocked it. To keep them from leaving, of course.
I think that's pretty interesting that, you know, they wanted to make sure that they were not getting away. Oh, there's JJ. I wonder where he went.
Now, it would make sense. You know, somebody coming through the balcony, the back door, and the first floor, ground floor. Sure, I could see that being possible for sure.
I'm doing my best to not make that a horrible thing. So look, I want to ask you. I want to ask you this question. I had a thought. Robin apparently is much more foul than I thought she was, because she laughed at that, and I know what she's. Anyways, so thank you, Robin. Thank you for coming.
Oh my God!
You are very welcome.
Anyways, let's move on. I want to tell you something that
just hit me, just like a baseball bat. Took a minute, but it hit me.
Nobody comes in all three doors at the same time.
Oh my God!
Anyways,
I'm sitting there going, "What the hell are you laughing at?" And then I was like, "There it is."
I'm trying to move on. All right, listen. I had a thought today when I was looking at deep dives, and I almost hesitate to do this because I don't want anybody accusing me of just saying random shit. But I want to ask you if this is an enormous stretch. Okay. Here's the thing. I've always wondered why on the first floor they were covering certain doors with a black box redaction. I've said it a million times. No crime happened on the first floor. Why are you redacting out the door, for example, that immediately to the right, which was apparently the spare bedroom, not Bethany's bedroom, right? And why are they black box redacting it? And something that I read today made a chain of thought go through my head, and I'm going to throw it out there and just ask you guys to think. Here's what was said. That extra bedroom had no signs of anybody living in it because there was no clothes anywhere hung up or strewn about the floor. There was only a bed and the sheets were strewn about. And then I thought to myself, and then they talk about Bethany's room, which does have clothes and does have signs of being lived in. And I thought, did someone hook up? Was that a hookup room? Did somebody hook up and have sex in a room that nobody lives in? It's just a room with a bed and the bed sheets are messed up. Then you start asking about the rumors where people said there was somebody that came up and saw Kaylee that night. Did they hook up in the bottom room? Could that have happened?
Did they have a computer?
Like somebody had just hooked up with somebody in the maybe the basement room that's just a shack up room. Like, is that nuts to think that the disheveled bed with no clothes in there is not a room that people sleep in?
There's another.
No, because
room. Exactly. It could be a side smash room.
I mean, that's very possible.
A working computer too.
And I was going to add to that too, that I've always wondered, again, if we're to believe anything Dylan says. She says she hears Kaylee go up and then run down the stairs. Is it possible she heard Kaylee run up the stairs?
Yeah. Right. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. From the ground floor, and say somebody's in the house running from the base, the ground floor.
Yes.
Up that direction. And they're in turn, okay, could explain how Kaylee's blood ends up where it does on the second floor, in my opinion. Okay.
Yeah.
So again, I've thought that for a while, wondered that as well for quite a while. So,
and you also remember I don't know what the hell it is. It's like some kind of, Pav covered this. It was some kind of oil like thing or whatever, some kind of oil glass thing that's found in that spare bedroom. There's like, that
so
may be what caused that may be what was the spark or the
I don't think so.
Right, could have. But so Heart of Gold, why redact it? This is what I'm saying. And again,
I agree.
100 want to make sure you understand these are rumors that have been going around for years. Rumors were that Kaylee was seeing a certain police officer that was in that neighborhood at that time. If the rumor was true, if that officer was up at 1122 King Road residence house and in the house shacking up with someone, maybe in the boom room, if that's what it was, the side shack room, the smash room, whatever the hell you want to call it, and then left, and then shortly after he left, the murders happened, there could be really good reason to cover up that an officer was in the house when he shouldn't have been, hooking up with a college girl when he shouldn't have been, on duty when he shouldn't have been, and he's a married man and he shouldn't have been. That shit would be an enormous embarrassment and would lead everyone to want to be like, let's fucking not have it be known that an officer who had just been there banging one of the college girls just before she got killed.
But overall, he shouldn't have been. Period. He shouldn't have been.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And remember one thing, again, if we're going to believe anything Miss Molly says, Molly McCracken, she said at one point she saw that car go round and saw one person in that car. Where was the second officer at?
You know what
I
was
describes as Tesdale, not Rosenthal. So it makes you wonder. Go ahead. Sorry.
Here's another deep dig I did today on the Members Only Live. I didn't know this before. The vehicle that Tesdale and Rosenthal were in that night was an unmarked silver Ford Fusion, I'm told. Okay. And that's what you can see. That's what you can see on the Banfield video. They were in an unmarked car, a silver Ford Fusion, some say. I'm not big with cars, so I'm not going to tell you it is or isn't. But that's what I believe. And they even were asked by the people that they stopped at the Banfield, what, you guys don't have a police car? And they're like, oh yeah, money's tight. They have us driving unmarked. It was bullshit. It was an undercover kind of car, right? In the reports, listen to this. In the reports, Brett Payne takes a owned vehicle by Moscow Police Department that is a silver Ford Fusion and does timing runs around the house, driving the routes and specifically testing what the car looks like under the lighting conditions. Does a silver car look white under the lighting conditions? And he notes that under some of the orange lights, the car looks more tan in color. Notice that Molly McMichaels said she saw somebody matching Tesdale's description in a tan car. And literally Payne is re-driving the same car around the neighborhood and noting that car does look tan. Like he's flat out basically telling you that's who Molly saw. She never fucking saw Bryan Kohberger at the crime scene. That was all bullshit. She never saw him there. She saw Tesdale driving around.
Yes.
And then where the hell was your asshole partner? That's, you know, that's a line from
Yeah.
This is why you need the phone
And
records.
that's the point. Where was he at that point when she saw
Yeah.
that? If that's true, was he in the house
Right.
at that time? Maybe.
And I-
you know,
right.
And I think Ann
And-
Taylor knew this, and this is why she wanted the phone records. But
That's it. One.
Yeah,
You're
she
right.
knew.
Exactly why Ann Taylor wanted Tesdale and Rosenthal's phones. She wanted every
She
bit of
knew.
it. She wanted their personal phones and she wanted all their phones, and they didn't give it to her, but she wanted their personal phone and every part of their phones because I think
Now, the
she
one
knew
thing. So
what was
what's
going on.
interesting is I would be interested to know if Ann Taylor and her, you know, and the BK's defense, if they had the AVL records of the car, and then from the AVL records, she would see, okay, the car, you know, their car stopped here, and then from that, she's like, oh, I think someone got out and went to, you know, I think someone was at the house, and that's what made her think.
Senior
think.
Wazowski says that sounds like Senior Wazowski has filed a public records request
did.
for Rosie's body camera,
Yeah.
and they asked for 1900. Here's what I'll tell you, Senior Wazowski. I'll tell you this. One, I don't believe they can legally ask for that kind of money. So I would love, if you haven't, to help you push back. Two, if you need money for it, we've got a war chest. And if that video is we'll fucking help pay for that. We'll help pay for it.
we'll all jump
yeah.
in on that one for real.
We've got a war chest. We'll if it came to that and we had to, but look, first we push back because there's no fucking way they should ask for $1,900. But you know
right.
what?
No.
We've got a war chest. We can get that. And I
Crazy.
would love to have that body cam footage.
Well, one thing I wanted to say, a couple of things that came to mind. In all the video that I saw, the 1112 video, the lights on the car were like amplified like 15 times.
Right.
I've never seen that on a
Yeah.
body cam have that dramatic of a washout with the headlights and the taillights, right?
No.
To me, that was suspicious right from the get-go, as if it was deliberately done so you couldn't see who was driving and you couldn't
Mhm.
see the car that well because the lights
Yeah.
were just like blowing up. That's one thing. Another thing is, if that was a CI house, which is very possible in my opinion, and a local PD guy was having a thing and that woman was just so happened to be in town that night for the weekend or for the night or whatever, and he stops by there, combine those two things, and right there is a reason why shit would be covered up, because if it was in conjunction with the university, like the CI thing, they're going to want that covered up as well. MPD's going to want that covered up as well, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
then they tell the surviving roommates, this, don't say anything about this person being there. And they get fed a story because they don't want it to get out that it was a CI house. So there was this guy was one guy and this whole thing, because they don't want the real story to get out, because the real story would open up questions about the other stuff, like a CI house, like that being a CI house. So to me, I'm trying to always look at why all the lies. Why weren't the surviving roommates pushed? That's not an investigation. That's not an investigation. So right there, the whole thing is a wash from day one, because if you have two surviving roommates and their horseshit story is not questioned by the police or anybody, they're not pushed at all. To me, that implies, yes, there might have been some people who weren't in on it that were wondering why the hell, like, their stories don't add up. But if other people in control of the investigation were controlling the narrative, they wouldn't want those other things to get out. So that's why I don't think we can believe anything we've heard with the official story, because it's tainted right from the start. It's completely tainted. You can't believe anything Dylan said. You can't believe the timeline.
Right. I agree.
Yep.
I agree
Absolutely.
with that.
Very much agree. very much
This-
agree. I mean,
This
this is
story.
And I
Yeah.
still think that I still think the video that Jules got was not meant for us to hear the audio. I
No,
think that
no.
was
No.
I don't think it. I think it was an accident that they released that.
We have a pretty full panel on screen, but we sent out the link to see if anybody wants to join us up here to ask a question or riff off anything we've talked about tonight, because we've got room
I'll
for at
go
least for
ahead and
one
do
more.
that.
We can fit 6 of us up here. Yeah.
Sure, I'll go ahead and do
I
that.
mean, I could go on and on with a million. I mean, somebody was making the point that the plaster cast or whatever that was made of the shoe print by the fence line was a size
Yeah.
14, and that Rosenthal wears a size 14. I don't. First of all, I can't confirm it was a size 14. I don't think they listed it as a size 14. They listed it in dimensions. Kohberger supposedly wore a size 13 shoe, so some have said
But it
could have
wouldn't
been
matter.
Kohberger's. Right. It wouldn't
They
matter.
were
wouldn't
there.
matter.
I think
It
those
wouldn't
footprints
matter.
were there from days before
It
that. In my
and it
opinion.
wouldn't matter because and he was there the next day, like at the house.
Yeah. And one of the
Rosie was
officers
there.
even comments that footprint was probably from days before. It wasn't from the crime
Yes.
scene.
And I'll tell you right now, you guys, everybody, if anybody cares, I'm just saying that thread, that in particular thread, has always, and it still mesmerizes me. That's a thread that I really, really have a lot of interest in because it makes so much sense to me. It truly does. Honestly.
Which
truly.
part?
The police officer, Rosenthal, driving around. There's something about that.
To me, that whole story exactly explains why Moscow Police Department might be incentivized to lie about what happened.
And then you have Rosie showing up that night. He spends the night at the house for security reasons, and then the man disappears conveniently within the next few days, and poof. And he's never talked about. There's no body cams of him put out like they did with everybody else.
Oh, wait a minute. Who stationed at the house all night long watching the house?
Rosenthal, from my understanding.
Rosie.
He shows up that
Yeah.
night and he stayed there all night, which is a
Oh
bother
my
to me.
God. Like, I mean, I've heard it before, but if you're thinking about it, right? If you have an oh shit, you shouldn't have been there at the house, you're going to post that same guy having hours to be able to access the house with nobody that can document his coming and going from the house. And
Well,
hey,
it puts his
I'll take care
DNA
of
all over the
guy.
house. Yeah,
Yes.
it puts his DNA all over the house, DA. Come on.
Yes.
Oh my God. Like if one
Yeah.
were a conspiracy theorist, you would almost say, hey, look, this is the best person to do this because we need to cover why if there's any DNA
Yes.
found at the house ever, we'll just say it's because he was posted there all night long. It was his
Yeah,
job
right.
to go in and
Like I said,
Right.
yeah.
and he was supposed to go in and periodically check on things, make sure nothing's been disturbed, whatever.
Right.
So it would give him a plausible reason to have his
Of
DNA all
course.
over the fucking house.
Right,
That's
of course.
exactly
And
my
that's what
point.
they yes.
cover.
And whenever they do investigations with crime scenes, that's what they always they get the officers like DNA and their
I think so,
footprints
right.
and all that stuff to eliminate them from being suspects. So it would be a perfect cover.
Oh my
Right.
God, it's the perfect cover. By the way, I do want to address, because I saw it pinned for quite a while Logan's not here. Yeah, Logan from Bronx Tales, by the way, she got super busy, got a bunch of overtime for a while and had to pull back from doing nightly shows. That's part of the reason why she's not here. It's not that she got kicked off the show or anything like that, but she just literally got super busy. So I meant to address that when someone asked the question.
We got a guest backstage, right?
Oh, dude, we got
We got Dylan.
Got Dylan.
Holy
Oh.
shit, Dylan.
Holy shit, it's Dylan.
Oh shit, it's fucking Dylan. Oh, this ought to be a treat. Here we go. What's up, man?
Dylan.
Oh, it's just another day in paradise.
Hello, son.
Hi, Dad.
Hello.
How are you, son?
I'm doing great. I got my homework done.
That's good.
Good, excellent, good. What's
you need
going
to double
on?
check that shit too, and no snacks before bed.
What
Remember
do
that.
you got?
Now you don't have to be grounded.
What do you got? Multiple teams? What are you sporting here? You got Yankees? You got what else you got in your head there?
I can go along with the Yankees T-shirt, but the Bears thing,
the
I'm
Bears.
just
The
saying.
Bears.
Yeah, it's just a hat that I have, and just
The Bears.
Oh,
It's good to see you again. It's good to see
I got a
you.
crap ton of hats. I mean,
Yeah.
but
I need
So
to get
Dylan,
me a
what?
new Yankees
So
hat.
Dylan, how what say you about Rosie? What do you feel about it?
so I'm on the fence on the whole on that whole situation, because yes, I can see a police officer doing the cleanup. I'm not entirely sure Rosie's smart enough to pull it off, though. That's my problem.
Why do you think that? I don't mean we really don't know him personally, so I mean,
I mean, when
Well, what I'm saying, like, well, I would say this, Dylan. I would counter with this. He wouldn't. I mean, I'm not trying to. First of all, we're not saying an officer was involved. We're theory crafting. If the rumors were true, could it explain a lot of things? So he wouldn't necessarily have to be all that smart, even, right? If someone knew, if someone in the department knew that he was involved or he was there that night and it was an oh shit and an embarrassment, they could be like, look. Simple answer. We'll just post you up here all night long. That way, if anything comes out with your DNA, you're excluded because you were at the scene all night long. You have to be excluded. So we're not going to look at you.
Right.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, I could.
That's what I was gonna say. He probably wasn't even. He wouldn't have been making the decision. It would have been someone above him.
Yeah. Yeah. His superior.
Yeah. Yeah.
Captain Lanier maybe or something. You know.
Yeah. I don't know how much you read in my comment, but one thing that I was thinking of while you guys were talking about it was, what if whoever, we'll say Rosie for this example, actually uses that ladder, climbs up to Kaylee's balcony, goes into Kaylee's room to like surprise her.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that comment.
She jumps, gets scared. Xana runs up the stairs, so that explains the running up the stairs from Dylan. Sees what's going on. Rosie freaks out and all hell breaks loose.
I mean, it's not an impossible scenario. I mean, how smart would it be for a police officer to climb up somebody's ladder and sneak into the window and not think that might go horribly fucking wrong? Like, I mean, so it's not implausible, but it seems a little harder for me to buy than of all the stories we're theory crafting. But it's something worth considering. I mean,
I mean, when guys are thinking with the head that isn't attached to the shoulders, they get real stupid.
Right. True. I mean, that's fair. I'll buy that.
We have another even without that, we're stupid. So yeah.
Right.
But
yeah, I mean, anything at this point is plausible. This whole what I'm going to say it one more time because I haven't said it for a while. What's not plausible is that one guy did that in about 8 minutes on 2 floors to 4 people and got out of the house without leaving any trace out. That's not plausible to me. Everything else is slightly more realistically plausible than the story.
It'd be even less. It's even less than 8 minutes. Actually, right? It's actually the time period that the state was going by was like less than 3 minutes because there was also cleaning up and everything else. So it's actually they're saying the crime happened in 3 minutes or less than 3.
Right. Because to give them the benefit of the doubt, they tried to tell us at first it was 20 minutes because it was between 4 and 4:20. That's what they tried to. Right. So it's 20 minutes. That's plenty of time. Then it became, okay, well, maybe the car was still in motion at 4:07. So now it's 13 minutes or something like that because you got to take that time off. And so that was the next thing. And then, okay, well, maybe it wasn't 13 minutes because he had to get to and from the car. So maybe it was more like 10 minutes. And it kept getting smaller and smaller to the point that, now the window's like fucking 4 minutes or 3 minutes. And they're like, well, look, we did a timing run. You can kill 4 people in like 2.5 minutes. So totally doable.
Well, one thing too that the car speeding away, right? Let's just theory craft, right? As you were saying, DA. Let's say that was the Ford, that was the undercover car speeding away.
Yeah.
Let's say that something had already happened earlier and somebody was still in the house, and this is sort of piggybacking off of what Dylan said somewhat. So they go around back, they walk down, they walk in, and they see that something already went down, and then shit hits the fan in the sense that the cop ends up, like, you know, there's been that theory, I'm sure you've heard it, of like the perpetrator or one of the perpetrators getting killed. Have you guys heard that theory?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, say that one more time, Joe. I didn't catch like the end part. I'm sorry.
So the undercover car with our pal gets dropped off at the house. right? Shit goes down. He gets there and shit already happened, right? He catches one of the perpetrators in the act, right? And shit goes haywire. I don't have a strong thought about what exactly happened, but then his partner is waiting for him, and he runs up, he jumps in the car, and they speed away, right? So that the crime happened earlier in the time frame that we all think it happened, but he was there and he saw shit go down and possibly had to cap somebody,
Right.
you know, one of the people, and then but they don't want it to come out that of the involvement of the officer and why was he
Right.
there and why is his fucking DNA there? He could have gotten involved with something. I've thought for a while that if there was more than one perpetrator, I've said it before, I thought that picture of what we allegedly a lot of people believe was Xana does not look like Xana to me for many reasons. It doesn't, it looks to me like a man's face, right? So let's say it's because a cop came in, or he was either maybe already there and shit went down and he had to take somebody out, and then that's just the car speeding away is when he was leaving the scene. And because of the CI situation, because of him potentially being involved with one of the victims, they
Right.
can't even bring that up, because if he gets inserted too much into the discussion, then that would open up more questions about him being there.
It's funny because I hate going too crazy, but this is something you could imagine happening in a movie. You know, if an officer was there for a hookup and he has his service pistol with him, and then something horrible happens and he ends up capping somebody, the next thought is, fuck, I can't be here. Like I can't have been here.
Right.
So at what level could the whole thing become I couldn't have been here. This is going to be a fucking shit show. And I can't explain how this all happened. How many people could have been roped into? Like at some point it's hard. Like how many people are going to cover for cop in the wrong place at the wrong time? Is the whole department going to fucking cover for the one cop that just shouldn't have been somewhere in the right place? Like at what point does it become that there's not a 1-1 on the force that's going to fucking be like, oh, that shit ain't going to fucking fly with me? Like, no.
Yeah, but if it was
but
if it was a CI house, that means there was already collusion going on between law enforcement and the people living in that house.
Right.
So
Now,
there's
as-
already a relationship there where they're probably directing them about certain things already. And what time did we see that flash of light?
We don't. Well, the
there
flash
wasn't
was
really
in
ever been a time.
Well, there,
No,
not
there
a
was.
locked in stone time. I'm sorry.
No, there was a time. You mean on the 1119?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There's a
Oh,
flash of
I'm
light
sorry.
you see in the 245 range, kind of right between
Yeah.
230
I
and
forget.
245. You see a
Yeah.
flash of light.
Amanda,
Even here was
Amanda's
snapping stone.
backstage. Amanda, we got a test for you.
Yeah, I
What?
mean,
Yeah.
it's just the firecracker or the sparkler, whatever the thing is. You know, I've maintained that I still have strong suspicions that a firearm was used on some level at some point. And if somebody had to be taken out because chaos went down and they didn't want, oh, by the way, that there was another body, and it was because the cop that really shouldn't have been there shot somebody, you know, at the house. That's something that would and again, this only applies if you consider that this was a CI house, like a safe house or some sort, because
Yeah.
that would imply there's already collusion going on, right? So, and that would facilitate or necessitate rather them covering a lot of shit up.
Real quick, Dylan, you've been quiet for a long time. Did we just fucking lose our mind and you're wondering why the hell you're sharing a screen with
Oh.
us, or do you have thoughts?
Oh, we got
Well-
another guest too. Don't forget we got.
I know.
another guest.
Let's get Dylan to talk
Okay.
first before we bring up.
Open
another
your
guest.
mouth, son. Open your mouth.
All right, so I know Dago's seen it, but I did a conversation with with Grok AI, and I left names out. I just gave initials, and I walked through everything with Grok, and I had Grok give me percentage chances on who was all involved,
Yeah.
and
Oh, that's interesting.
and the favorites. It was like Dylan was like a 45% favorite. Bethany was about 35. Jack was like 20, and then everybody else was like below 5. And so I started racking my brain, and what could have happened was either Bethany or Dylan goes into Xana's room, because the only way that whole thing starts in that room is that Xana and Ethan know that person. That's the only way that starts. And so Xana or whoever goes into Xana's room says, "Hey, I need some Addy." You got it all crushed up on the desk, ready to go. And then whoever makes their lunge at Ethan, you hear the scream from the door, from the ring cam. That would be Xana.
Yeah.
Reacting. And then when Kaylee and Maddie come home, they see what happened. When they get up the stairs. They turn, run back down the stairs. Bethany's there to cut them off, and then all heck breaks loose.
I mean, a lot of the story makes sense. I've always felt, ever since I heard the scream, I've always, for some reason, felt that was probably Xana's scream. I don't know. I can't prove that. I don't know her well enough to know, but it always felt like, and it always felt to me that it also wasn't a scream of pain. It was a scream of terror from having seen something that was horrific, like your boyfriend getting attacked or stabbed or already dead, and you just realized that he's dead. Whatever it is, it seemed like that was what that scream was, as a realization of something that just
at least
horrible had
someone, the
happened.
people who are friends with them, or I'm sure, I'm not shaming the family or anything. I'm sure if they heard the scream, they would know their,
Sure.
Right.
they would know if it was her.
And they probably will never tell us whether they think it was or not, because they're keeping silent. I mean, that family in particular, I think, has been completely silent, right? But anyways, all right, let's bring up Gabriella on screen with us. We'll share some stage. So we got now all of us on stage. How you doing this evening? I got to get yourself unmuted, of course.
And the bird. Too.
Hello.
How are you?
Can you hear me?
I can.
We hear you.
Welcome back.
How you
I'm
doing?
glad you can hear me. I have a break from Little Milton right now. JJ, you make me think so much. I really love listening to you.
Oh, thank you.
About that flash of light, I had a vision come to me, and I envisioned someone putting some sort of firecracker, some sort of thing you might buy for 4th of July, and putting them in one of the victims' mouth and having it go off in their face. JJ, I kind of wondered why you said that Sienna's face actually looked like a man, because wasn't her face actually mostly off of her?
I don't know. I mean, I've seen comments, for example, on message boards and things saying like, "Oh, it looks like her nose wasn't there." But the reason I say that is because I looked at a bunch of different pictures of her, and the distance between her nose and her upper lip is much smaller than what it appears. Now, everybody says, "Oh, the face could have been bloated and things like that." Yes, of course, but I'm just going based on what I see, and you only have certain things to work with. And it looked to me like, in fact, I'll go even as far as to say it looked like the face was photoshopped. You know, like around it to obscure it, in my opinion. And I have experience with editing in the past and what it looks like when you change things with editing. And it just didn't, that's just my gut feeling. It did not look to me like Xana's face. And I'm not saying Xana wasn't one of the victims. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just
Oh, no,
saying that what we saw in that picture to me looked like a man's face. And it's just based on looking at it closely, comparing some pictures, and using my gut instinct.
Robin
and I don't
said
want to
it right away too.
Oh, go ahead, Diego. You got something on your mind.
I'm sorry, and I don't mean to make you repeat this, JJ. All due respect, I'm just lost on what thing you're talking about, where this man's face was, where you think you saw this. I'm trying to picture this, and
the picture where it was we saw a sliver of what is generally believed to be Xana in those photos that were released.
Okay. No, I got you. I
the
understand.
Face,
I agree with you, JJ.
once you see it, we've all seen it, but once people finally see the face, you could see the head is facing up, and you're getting kind of like a side angle of the face.
Right.
And to me, it looks like there's a much bigger distance between the bottom of the nose and the top of the upper lip. And on top of that, it looks like so much of the face is obscured that to me, it's not. Look, we've been lied to about everything. I mean, what have we not been lied to about in this case?
Oh, yeah.
And if a guy was in that house sorry, Gabrielle, a guy was in the house who really shouldn't have been there, and shit went down, and there was an incident that an officer was involved in, and he shouldn't have even been there, or he was there for questionable reasons that he didn't want to get out to the public. You know, they could obscure some of what we see in photos. Guys, the technology the government has is just off the chain.
It's beyond. It's beyond what you can even imagine, because I didn't find out till years later that it was holographic planes that flew into the buildings on 9/11.
Well, nothing would surprise me. I've said that many times. Sometimes the things that at one point in time sound totally crazy, how many of them have ended up to be proven to be true? So nothing would surprise me at all.
Say that one more time, Gabriella. I didn't hear the last end of what you said there with planes.
The buildings that flew into the Twin Towers were holographic. There were no real planes.
Oh, okay.
I met a man. When I lived in Hawaii, I met a man just about 10 years ago. I met a man who said he had just sold his technology to the DOD, and he said it's like super the best kind of visual holographic technology. And I said, you mean better than the planes that flew into the buildings on 9/11? And he said, way better. And they have this whole Project Bluebeam, idea, and so that involves technologies that we can't fathom yet. But I have some ideas. But
I want to be careful, Gabrielle, because while I have entertained all kinds of stuff on things like 9/11 or whatever, it's a little outside the scope of the Crimes After Dark / Devil's Advocates thing, because I feel like that gets into, like, we could go down the rabbit holes, and then all of a sudden we're talking about conspiracy theories and aliens and holographs, and it's a little, I mean, not to say that I'm discounting it. I'm just saying that I think it's an area where I don't feel like it's a good fit for the show to go too far into the 9/11 conspiracy and stuff like that.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to get back to Adam.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to answer Dago's question because he asked. So
yeah.
Thank you. And I'm sorry, I just didn't hear with the last part of what you had said, but I did. I got you, and I appreciate you repeating it. Thank you very much.
But do you guys know who is the cop when during someone's ring camera we hear, "We see you," and it's some girl yelling out to some cop who's like being snoopy?
Are you talking about the I see you Farley comment that
Farley.
has been out
Farley,
in the
yeah.
ether?
Okay, I
Yes,
see
we
you,
see you, Farley.
Farley
Yes.
is not Adam, correct?
Right.
No.
No.
So so
No.
Adam is
Farley
what's
is Tyson Farley. And
Right.
he has nothing. Adam is one of Jack DeCore's roommates that worked at the corner club.
but there is no cop named Adam.
Not that I know of.
Not that we know
I
of.
don't think so.
No.
Adam was the guy who was working at the corner club the night the girls were there. That
If you
night.
saw the
Yeah,
video
when,
of the corner,
I
club
know
video,
Adam is the one that Kaylee told everything to. So
Right,
he's
right.
very important.
Maddie did. Yeah.
Maddie,
Yeah.
Maddie. Kaylee said, Maddie, what did you say to Adam? And Maddie said, I told Adam everything.
I thought
if
it
you-
was Maddie who said, Kaylee, what'd you tell Adam?
No,
No,
no.
Kaylee's
No, it's the
telling
other way
Maddie.
around.
It's
I
the other
have
way
it
around.
the opposite. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, okay.
And if you
Yeah.
saw the corner club video or the picture, the still photograph where they showed Jack DeCore, there's a guy sitting in a chair in the corner next to the door. That's Adam.
Yes.
Adam. Is that the one that the girls were being mean girls to him? Like Maddie was saying, get away from me or something like that.
No,
I don't think
no,
so.
No, not that
that
I
wasn't
know of.
Adam.
That was not
No.
Adam. Okay.
No.
No.
Yeah, no.
You're probably thinking about Cole. There's a story about Cole that was from there that night, but
Yes.
yeah.
Mhm.
And
And the
What do
guy
you-
and the guy trying to walk them home was Showalter.
Yes.
Showalter, yeah.
Yes, and he was
Okay.
also in the corner. He was in the corner club with them too, and that was also a big lie that was given to us that he was like stalking them or they wanted nothing to do with him. Because if you watch the corner club video, he's in the corner with them talking to them.
And it looked
For
like
quite a
Maddie
while.
kissed him.
Yes. So
Right.
he obviously was he was being friendly with them. They weren't trying to push him away. So
Okay.
Dylan,
And
do you
then-
have any thoughts about the corner club night and the whole thing? Like, have you talked much about that with us about what you think happened at the corner club that night and if it relates at all into what happened at the house?
I definitely don't think you can exclude what was going on at the corner club. We would have to know what happened with Adam and what
Yeah.
Adam knows. But what I find interesting is, and if you want to believe one of the books that's come out, that Kaylee was going around making it well known that her and Jack were never getting back together.
Yes.
That was in Bloom's book, I believe.
Yeah, Howard Bloom said, she was
Yeah.
making it very clear that night that they were never getting back together.
And I'm kind of curious to see if we can get text messages between Kaylee and Jack earlier that night, because
Yes.
something had to have set Kaylee off to want to make that the center of the attention. And so
Yeah.
my guess is what Adam was told was essentially Kaylee's side of whatever spat Kaylee and Jack were having.
So wait,
Yeah.
so Dylan, you're saying it was Kaylee who was talking to Adam about everything?
No.
No.
Okay.
No. Maddie was spending a good amount of time talking to Adam at the bar at the corner club.
yeah.
So
Gabriel, I was going to say, so one of the rumors that was going around, again, is a rumor, since we don't know 100%, was that one of the reasons that Kaylee came back, so yes, Dylan went, drove an hour and 40 minutes or whatever it was to get her, but that there were also rumors going around that apparently were being spread that Kaylee was going to be going to Texas soon, and this was one of the last times. It wasn't just to show her car. She wanted to come back and put some of the rumors to bed. So one of the issues was that supposedly that was going around was that Kaylee hooked up with Adam, and that supposedly this got to Jack, and he got drunk one night or whatever, and somehow was like fooling around with Bethany, and it was like a whole big thing with that. And Kaylee wanted to come back and like put those rumors to bed. That was
There's a
big
lot of
thing.
rumors around
Yeah.
this, a lot.
Right.
So
A lot more than you
Yeah.
think.
One
Way
of the
more.
things that actually you just Lee and you brought up the with the corner club. So one of the things we've spoken about many times, would it be out of the realm of possibility that obviously we see Kaylee on her phone, right? The whole time, not the whole time, but a lot of the time, right? At the corner
Yes,
club.
right.
Would it be possible, like they won't release to us the text messages and all the stuff they're trying to hide Kaylee's phone? Is it possible that she has a text message with good old Rosie or the cops? One of the cops, and they're trying to hide it.
Yes, I absolutely think they want to tell you that the text messages is irrelevant and just not have to show it to you because of that very thing. I think that there could be incriminating, embarrassing stuff. And look, even if they try to delete it to try to hide that part up, are going to have to explain why there's messages deleted, and they just don't want to go down that shitstorm. So, you know, yeah, I agree.
So the cop who some people believe it's a possibility that Kaylee was having an affair with is Rosenthal
or something. Yeah,
that's a rumor that's been out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do we see him on body cam on the day after 911 is called? Because I wonder what is his behavior like?
No, that's the thing I was saying earlier is that we need body cam.
Right.
His body cam and other body cam to see that's a good point, to see his body, body language and actions and stuff. Yes.
Right. Well, I think we would probably see more of him through someone else's body cam. We don't see him at all in anyone's body cam. Was somebody there at the scene?
He was there. He was stationed to guard the house the next day.
He was there, and it sounds like somebody who was it in the chat? Senior Wiskowski may have actually been offered to pay $1,900 for, and that's look. I think it's illegal to ask for that kind of money, but if there's any footage that might be worth paying extra for, it would be probably that footage.
I agree.
Yeah, but are you going to get the real thing?
That's it. You're going to get it redacted.
Yeah.
You're going to pay $1,900 for redacted shit that doesn't show anything important.
Right.
It might be worth talking to an attorney like Corey Hopkins or some other type of attorney, because there are laws to this, and if you file a lawsuit, they give you records that they said they've been saying that they're not, when by law they have to give you. If they deny you, you just file a lawsuit and then they have to give them to you, or you take them to court. You can win in court, or they just give you what you want. But I don't. Yeah, that 19,000 or 1,900. That's far out.
1,900.
Yeah.
1,900. Yeah, not 1,000. That
wouldn't be
wouldn't
asking anything.
1,900. That's
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Either way, it's still too much.
What did Jules pay for the 1 hour or a couple hours of footage that she got originally? Wasn't it $900 and something?
Yeah, it was almost
$1,000. Yeah, it was almost 1,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she still paid. She's paid more than that, and then some, and didn't even get. She's still paying out to get shit that she's not getting.
And
they're just ignoring me.
And you guys know about EWU suing Moscow?
Yes. I do want to say this before we go off. I do want to say this one more time. I am dead drop serious. Senior Wiskowski, if you're still here, or anybody, if you have an offer on the table and your time is not expired, let's get you money to get that footage. We'll help you out with that, because I want the footage.
Yeah, we can get that footage to check it out. I think that's worth every cent of that, per se.
Yeah.
I hope.
So we will definitely help out with that if you can get a hold of that. Look, you're on a ticking time clock. When they offer it to you, if you don't pay up by a certain time, they withdraw your request. So you may have to request it again.
Can I since we're getting near close, and we haven't done this in a while, can I present a possible theory?
Yeah.
That might tie certain things together. But keep this in mind as a preface to what I'm going to say. If there was an operation going on that house, let's just say, right, then you can't deny that a lot of lying and fuckery would happen, so that wouldn't get out. So take that and put that aside. What about this theory? It's just a theory. Don't anybody attack me. what if the body that I believe was a man, or at least to me looked like a man, not Xana, was Copaka, and that he was there, shit went sideways, and the cop that really shouldn't have been there took him out. And then they didn't want that to get out because of all the other reasons that I've stated. And so they staged the standoff in order to cover up the fact that he was killed in this CI house. And that is why Payne was brought in as the point man, because this 82nd Airborne guy was taken out in an incident in that house, and they didn't want that to get out. Just a theory.
Well, okay, let me first and foremost, how long of a period of time was it from the night of the murders to the date of Copaka being taken out at the whole standoff thing? What date was that again?
A month. So he was supposedly shot and killed on December 15th. So the murders were on November 13th. Yeah.
So here's my follow up to that, because I see what, that's a good question.
Just asking to try to see,
Okay, we had suspicions that was a training exercise. So if they had already had a training exercise planned, you know what? What do we always say, DA? You do accomplish more than one thing,
right?
When you're using resources in an operation. So they don't want it to get out of what really happened. And so, we have this training planned. We just frame it as this. We had the standoff with this guy, and this is what happened. And there's a lot of suspicious things about that standoff where Copaka was allegedly killed.
Right.
So this is just a theory. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm connecting dots that I have seen, things that I have seen that, in my opinion, since we've been lied to about every other fucking thing, it wouldn't be that big of a stretch to me if some shit went down like that. And that would explain why Payne, who's only been there for a couple of years, is brought in as a sort of point guy, and he was also at the incident at the WSU. So anyway, it's just a theory.
Yeah. And here's the thing, like, I don't, because I know you're a smart guy and I've gotten to know you pretty well over this last, since CrimeCon and stuff like that, of last year, I don't want to ever shut you down on that kind of reasoning. I will say for myself, I'm uncomfortable going on too many of those jumps. And again, I'm not saying you're wrong, but like for me, I don't feel like the picture we saw of Xana is a man. And I know Robin kind of thinks, yeah, it kind of looks like a man to me too. I don't. And so then that would have to go, well, because it's a man, now it might be Copaka now. And it might, and like, that's too many logic jumps for me when I can't even really I can't get on board with it's a man laying on the ground kind of thing. So I would have to have a lot more receipts for me to go on board with you on that journey, yeah. Right? Like I'm okay with you positing it, but I would need more receipts for me to be ready to jump into that full ball.
But I could be on board with the whole Copaka standoff thing being some kind of training thing or staged event, because the crisis there was. So the bottom line is there was no crisis intervention. There was zero.
Yeah. I mean, I have lots. I think the training exercise idea, again, is something I can get on board with, because there's an officer actually saying, so what are you doing next Tuesday? Another training exercise or whatever. Like there's talk about training. We know that training was scheduled around that time. So that's totally in the wheelhouse, and it's part of those receipts you need for that theory. But I don't know. And again, I'm not trying to shut down the discussion. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just saying that there's a reason why I'm being more reserved when you start talking about that, because that's too many logic jumps for me to go right now. I would have to have more receipts. I will want to say this real quick. I want to wrap up the show where we started by giving you an update on the hooker, Brian Hooker, Lynette Hooker. There's an update I saw. I wanted to give an update before we close. So I want to say, I'm going to kind of back this in reverse. I'm going to say goodnight to Gabriella. I'm going to say goodnight to Dylan, get them off the screen, and then
Thank
Good
you,
night.
guys.
Thank you for coming on. Appreciate you
night.
sharing your
Thank
thoughts.
you.
See
Appreciate
you
it.
soon, Dylan.
Have a good evening.
Yeah. See you tomorrow, Dad.
Uh-huh.
All right. Thanks
No
for coming on
problem.
the show again. It was a pleasure having you again. All right. So real quick, I wanted to share with you just a quick update that I saw about that story we started with, which was the Hooker, Lynette Hooker and Bryan Hooker thing. So as somebody mentioned, he's been released. The husband has been released. And now there's new photos coming out of, I don't know if you can see this very well, of her back from an attack, a physical attack. Look at her back on this picture here, all the bruising.
Wow.
So horrific images of a physical beating that she had taken from him a while back. She had recently she told her mother, I think it was, that his abuse is getting stronger and stronger. She was afraid for her life, kind of thing. So there's now new documented evidence that relationship
So they
was
released
getting
him
worse.
and showed that at the same time.
Yes, they've
That's
released him,
crazy.
and now new
makes no
photos are
sense.
coming out of her abuse. Let me
Wow,
see if I can. Oops,
That is
let me
so
close that.
sad.
Right?
That's awful.
Oh my God. I mean, I understand, as we heard, she attacked him so many times too, but like I said before, I don't care if she's hitting on him you forget it. You guys know my feelings on that.
Right.
You don't ever put your hands on a woman. I don't care what the situation is. Walk
No.
away. That's all you gotta
So
do
here
is
we go.
walk away.
Exactly.
Let me hit the highlights. Okay. So husband, here's what it says. Husband of the missing boater, Lynette Hooker, has been released from police custody in connection with her disappearance, as horrifying photos of the Michigan mom's alleged abuse has emerged, according to authorities and reports. And then further on down here, it says, his arrest comes as Lynette Hooker's mother, Darlene Hamlet, told News Nation's Ashley Banfield that her daughter left her husband multiple times after several instances of alleged abuse, including one instance that left her with visible bruising on her back. And that was that big bruising we saw. With the lifestyle that my daughter and her husband live, I have been preparing for that phone call for a long time, Hamlet told Banfield on the show, drop dead serious of the moment that she learned of that her daughter was missing. There was a lot of good times and bad times in my daughter's relationship with her husband, a lot of highs and lows. When it was fun, it was really fun. When there was bad times, they were bad times, the heartbroken mother said. So there again is allegedly the image that were shown of her physical abuse. I think they loved each other, but they were not good for each other, she said, noting that Bryan tended to be mean and hateful and sometimes got physical with her daughter when he drank alcohol. She had even booked a plane ticket a month ago to go home to her mother after indicating that Bryan's abuse was accelerating. Bryan had been subject to who is being treated as a suspect, was pretty upset, emotional, and broke down during an interview, which left him in an extreme fragile state. Bryan Hooker's attorney and Royal Bahamas Police Force did not immediately return the post's request for comment. So there you go. He's out pending further evidence of murder, I guess. And there you go.
Well, did he live in the
Alicia.
Bahamas? Did they live in the Bahamas?
I don't know that they lived in the Bahamas, but their yacht was in the Bahamas, so I don't know. But
Well,
it looks like
because
Dago
that
got a
would
new
be
number
that
on
would
there.
make it more complicated to prosecute.
Sure.
If it happened out at sea in a an area that's not inside of the United States.
Yeah, that would add an extra wrinkle. Sure. Yeah, like maybe they just literally can't hold him without further information, right? They're limited to how long they can hold somebody. So if they're not ready to charge him with murder, they've got to let him go, right? So anyways, looks like we got some new Dago's getting some new members. Alicia, JLA, and Mama 5 became new members, it looks like, of Dago's channel. So thank you for supporting our panelists. I appreciate that very much. I don't know where Dago disappeared to, but he seems to be muted and away from his camera. So otherwise, he'd be saying hi and saying thank you. So for him, thank you.
Thank you
Okay.
very much. Sorry. And
No worries.
Alicia J, also welcome to the sauce. Cassie, happy Dagoversary on 33 months plus, because I know it's more. Thank you all very, very much. Sorry about that. I had to run to the bathroom. My apologies.
Oh yeah, I did. Somebody said they were from Michigan. I remember seeing that from Michigan. That couple hookers were from Michigan.
Yes.
All right, let's go around the horn.
Yeah.
Let's go around the horn and close out for the night. Dago went silent again, so I'm going to put him last. So he has. Oh, do you want to go first? Do you want to go first or last, Dago?
Sure. Sorry, I was just trying to put everything back together. My
All
apologies.
right, let's go. Let's go, Dago. Let's go, Dago, JJ, Robin, 1-1, and myself. We'll go around that way. All right, Dago, what do you got for closing?
Thank you. This was a really interesting conversation tonight. Very interesting. Even with the new case, the Hooker case, leading into what we talked about tonight. Very interesting to me. It sparked my intellect and interest. So thank you all for putting this out here for us. Thank you to, of course, Lee 11 and JJ, Mr. Robin, for having me. It's always an honor to do this. Thank you to Dylan and Miss Gabriella for joining us tonight. Great conversation pieces. Always love these combos. So thank you all. Thank you to all these amazing moderators for putting up with all of us and making this all happen, because we all know we wouldn't exist without you guys. And it is so very much appreciated. I missed all of you guys today. I didn't do a show today, so it's great to be able to see you guys tonight, but I will see you tomorrow. You guys have an amazing rest of your night. Don't forget to love yourselves, love each other, and don't change anything, because you are all truly the beautiful people. We'll see you soon.
All right, thank you so much for joining us on a Monday night. Not your normal thing. JJ as well, kind of wasn't expected on a Monday night, so it's great to have you. What do you got for closing?
Yeah, thank you, advocates, and of course the denizens and the meatballs and the great mods. Yeah, it was interesting talking about the Hooker case there, which I had heard about it peripherally, but I didn't really look into it. So I'm glad I got to get at least cursory information about it. And, I think that when we look at cases that have a lot of peripheral static, where things are not certain, and there are a lot of questionable things that have led us to where we are, I think it's really hard to be confident in any one theory, because so much seems to be obscured.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting. It's challenging when you look at certain cases, particularly the Idaho 4 case, because so much of the information that has led us up to this point has been flawed information, or heavily redacted, or questionable in many ways. So I don't know where we go with that, but there are still threads to pull. And I think, to several people's point, the MPD thread is one that still needs to be pulled further. So with that,
I want that footage. I want that footage. I don't want to pay $1,900 or whatever, but I want that footage.
Yeah. Well, so with that all being said, good night,
Agreed.
everybody, and we'll see you soon.
All right, thank you very much. And you've got a growing fan club, man. Everybody's talking about waiting for your channel to get fully launched. Your videos coming out, so I know you're working on it. I'm not busting your nuts. Just reminding you, you've got entertainment and value where people want to see you, like they want to see you get unchained. DA's chaining JJ and not letting him go too far down the rabbit hole. Let him off the chain. Well, that's what you're gonna do when you get your show going, and I'm looking forward to that as well. In fact, I wouldn't mind going off the chain with you on your show. Not so much my show, but I don't want going off the chain with you on your show. So thank you very much. I'm looking forward to that. Robin, what do you got for closing?
Well, this was a fantastic conversation tonight. Thanks so much to Gabriella and Dylan for coming up with us tonight. Good to see both of them back, so thank you. And just really thankful. Our mods, they were on both sides. They were really keeping everybody happy and doing a fantastic job. And thanks to everyone for coming out to see us live tonight. And if you're part of the replay crew, we appreciate you more than you know. So, and I hope everyone has a fantastic evening.
All right. Thank you very much, Robin, as always, and all the hard work you put into the sizzle reels and all the think tanking shit you and I do for the producing the show and trying to make a better and better show all the time. I appreciate all the hard work and dedication and the partnership that we've had since we started working together. So thank you so much for that. And 1-1, what do you got for closing tonight?
Great discussion as always. Love all the mods. All of you guys come in each and every night. all of you who came yesterday as well. We had a great show, and I found it funny that one of the big themes of our show yesterday was we had a whole big area of talking points on staging, and it came
Yeah.
up tonight.
Yeah.
And it seems that staging is involved in many cases.
Yeah.
You know, all kinds of cover-ups and for whatever different reason. So it's important to be able to recognize what I always talk about are patterns of behavior. Patterns tell you so much about what someone is capable of doing. It's not a definitive answer, but there is a method to the madness of, you know, evaluating someone's personality or looking at their actions and going, because the bottom line is we are creatures of habit. If you think about, you know, the way that you go to work, think about the things that you do when you wake up in the morning, you don't even realize it. We are all mostly creatures of habit. And is there behavior that is escalating, you know, as with, you know, domestic violence or certain things like that? It's, you know, sometimes it's easy to pick apart if you really pay attention to those patterns and you really look at the finer details. The info is right in front of our faces many times. We're always looking for these big, complicated answers, and sometimes it's sitting there right in front of us. What?
Yeah.
Until tomorrow. You guys are great, and I will leave you. Oh, one last thing, Robin, that sizzle reel is absolutely it's amazing. Every time I watch it, and the detail that you were able to get to at the end, you like having me in uniform with the cat, that was unbelievable. Crazy stuff.
Thank you.
Yes.
Do you have movie trivia?
I do. It is from the early 2000s. You guys ready?
I'm ready.
Yes.
Amanda, give everyone a try, please.
No Google searching of the quote.
Yeah.
I don't know. She might be pulling
This
that stuff out
time.
just from memory.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry,
No Google foo.
No Google foo.
This time next week, I'll be sucking down pina coladas in a hot tub with 6 girls named Amber and Tiffany.
I know that one.
Taking a shower with 2 guys named Jamal and Jesus, if you know what I mean. And here's the bad news: the thing you're sucking on, it's not a pina colada.
This movie rings a bell. What the hell is it? Did you say it, Dago?
I know, but I know it, and I can't think of it.
I know that line's all ringing a bell.
I got a question for you. You get it right, I give you more time. And you know what happens if you don't? Which weighs more, all the trains that pass through Grand Central Station in a year, or the trees cut down to print all U.S. currency in circulation? Here's a hint. It's a trick question. What the hell was that? Playing games now? It's the trains. U.S. money isn't printed on paper at all. It's cotton. Yeah, that's right. No trees were cut down. Are you sure? Yeah, 100%. Okay.
Inside Man, someone said. Is that the answer?
Yes.
It is?
I've never even heard of that movie.
Smiling Sleuth. I saw Inside Man. It's not one of the top movies I've watched over and over again. That's why I didn't get it, but I did see Inside Man. So
who's in it?
Well, I'm trying to make it a little more difficult.
Denzel.
Because
Denzel Washington. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It was like a bank. It was like a bank job kind of thing, right?
Okay, I got you now. I remember now. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good job there, Smiling Sleuth.
I remember that being a good movie too.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good job.
Thank you so much for the trivia. All right, everybody. That's basically it for the show tonight. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for the surprise visit from Dago and JJ, who they had the night off, but they chose to join us anyway. So thank you so much for doing that. Hopefully we see you on your normal time tomorrow. What, Dago was what you were supposed to? Yeah, you were here on Monday. Never mind, you're always here on Monday.
Supposed to be here. What are you talking about?
You're supposed to be on Monday. I don't know. You know what? I forgot your schedule. I'm an asshole.
You're gonna mess. You're
What's in
confusing me now.
What's in your cup? What's in your cup? What's in your hat?
Yeah, what are you drinking?
I'm senile. I'm not hammered. So anyway, sorry about that. Dago, thanks for being here anyways.
Okay.
Yeah, but JJ especially, because JJ wasn't supposed to be here, right?
Right.
Right.
Thank you all. Hope you enjoyed the kind of intro into a different, again, it's that case that we started with isn't a new case we're following, although we might still talk about it if something happens, but it's more like we kind of want to start to talk about what's in the news to see how it might dovetail and inform some of the other stories, like we did tonight, where we talked about was that thing staged, and did that happen in Idaho 4, for example, in other cases.
Great idea.
Thanks for going on the rabbit hole chase with us and trying something new. Have a great night, everybody. Take it easy.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, guys.
Good night, guys.